Prime Minister Keir Starmer was meant to use yesterday as a time of strategy and strength, but instead it has become what many are now referring to as a political catastrophe. In the midst of rising international tensions and pressure at home, Starmer made a move that has caused outrage, confusion, and serious concern across the political spectrum. His comments during a high-profile appearance in Paris have sparked an immediate firestorm, with critics accusing him of avoiding responsibility and possibly dragging the UK into dangerous territory. Let's break down what exactly he said, why leaders from all sides are demanding answers, and how this one statement turned into Starmer's biggie. Keir Starmer is facing harsh criticism following what many are calling a catastrophic blunder during a high-stakes diplomatic moment in Paris on Friday. Speaking to Christopher Hope, the political editor of GB News, Starmer promised that the MPS would receive a vote before any long-term deployment of British troops to Ukraine, but her carefully worded response hasn't done much to allay growing concerns. Rather, it has sparked a full-scale political firestorm. He stated that we are at the stage of converting political momentum into operational plans, examining the different options before moving on to the next piece of work with the chiefs of defense. Critics quickly seized on the statement's ambiguity, asking what long-term means, who determines when we've crossed the threshold from temporary involvement to long-term deployment, and why Parliament isn't consulted right away as these operational plans take shape. Starmer's remarks followed intense pressure from the leaders of the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives Reform UK, who all demanded that any commitment to military action or troop deployment be presented to Parliament rather than a clear and immediate commitment to democratic oversight. Starmer gave evasive assurances, stating that Parliament will only have a say if troops are deployed on a long-term basis. The backlash has been swift. Detractors are accusing Swift of avoiding responsibility and possibly leading the UK into a more extensive military engagement without explicit parliamentary approval at the beginning. Some are referring to this as a Friday disaster, warning that the UK runs the risk of getting involved in a global conflict without the full support of its own democratic institutions, which would only make things worse. British military chiefs will travel to Ukraine with teams from France and Germany to start creating operational plans to implement a future ceasefire agreement, Starmer said. We will be prepared to operationalize a peace agreement whenever its exact form is determined. This three-pronged strategy, which involves military strategists from Europe's three biggest economies, is being framed as preparation for peace, but many see it as a clear escalation, especially given the current volatility on the ground. There is no peace agreement in sight. In fact, tensions are rising rather than falling. Starmer stated that we will cooperate to guarantee Ukraine's security so that it can protect and deter against the future issue. Hours after Starmer's announcement, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky declared that a key energy facility in San had been targeted and demanded an immediate U.S. response to the violation, accusing Russia of violating a ceasefire agreement by initiating fresh strikes on vital energy infrastructure. However, Russia maintains that a ceasefire on energy targets has been in effect since March 18. This most recent development only serves to heighten concerns about Starmer's announcement. If a ceasefire cannot even hold at this point, how realistic is it to plan for future peace enforcement operations, and why is the UK so keen to deploy troops before a DE even exists? What will happen next? This situation is far from resolved. Many people believe that Starmer's plans to send British military personnel to Ukraine, even under the guise of peace, are reckless and premature as operational plans start to take shape. He has also been accused of undermining democracy for failing to guarantee a parliamentary vote up front. The issue still stands: will popular pressure or Parliament be ignored? Make the Prime Minister reconsider his approach. In other news, there's no denying that this was not the Friday Starmer was hoping for. It is believed that NatWest and Nigel Farage have reached a settlement on the debanking scandal, with the banking giant having paid an undisclosed figure of punitive damages. The change 2 years after one of Farage's accounts at the financial institution was closed. The UK leader and the owner of CS Bank agreed to settle their disagreement. As part of the agreement, Farage is believed to have retracted the threat of possible civil and criminal actions against NatWest. Reform is reported by Sky News. UK Treasurer Nick Candy is believed to have been responsible for facilitating a resolution between the two parties. It should be noted that exact details on the nature of the settlement have yet to be fully confirmed. In a joint statement, Farage and NatWest said NatWest Group and Nigel Farage MP are pleased to confirm that they have resolved and settled their dispute, and the bankers apologised to Mr. Farage. The terms of settlement are confidential. Farage was originally planning to seek millions of pounds from the company, alleging that the DEB banking scandal had hurt his public reputation. The dispute saw the resignation of Dame Alison Rose, the ex-chief executive of NatWest, in summer 2023. The scandal came about when NatWest's C subsidiary made the decision to shut down the politician's accounts for commercial or political reasons. Originally, NatWest stated the motivation was commercial. However, this was called into question after Farage obtained internal evidence suggesting it was due to his political leanings. Following this, an inaccurate report on the story from the BBC caused further controversy after it was revealed the journalist who wrote the article sat next to Dame Alison Rose at a dinner. Then Conservative Prime Minister Rishi Sunak took NatWest Group to task over the handling of Farage accounts, resulting in Rose leaving her role in the wake of the scandal. Former MasterCard chairman Rick Hayter-Waite succeeded NatWest's then chairman Sir Howard Davies, and Paul Thite has now assumed Dame Alison Rose's role. After markets opened this morning, shares of the NatWest Group closed at 463.3, giving the bank a market capitalization of over $37 billion. Additionally, stock in the banking group has increased by more than 75% over the past 12 months following last year's general election reform. NatWest Group has reported an increase in profitability and is almost back to full private sector ownership. Under Farage's leadership, the UK has won 4 seats in Parliament. At the moment, the party is positioned between 23% and 27% in the polls against Labour, the Conservatives, and the Liberal Democrats. If you haven't already, please make sure to like this video and let me know what you think about the topics we covered in today's video in the comments box below. For more British stuff, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and be careful. Goodbye.